22 minutes into England versus Croatia at AT&T Stadium in Dallas, the referee blew his whistle and stopped the match. Players walked to the sidelines. Coaches jogged onto the pitch with water bottles and tactical instructions. England and Croatia supporters, fans who had paid thousands of dollars to fly to Texas, who had waited years for this match, who had built their entire summer around that specific game, responded with a chorus of boos that was picked up clearly by every broadcast microphone in the building. The reason those fans were booing will tell you everything you need to know about the biggest problem with this World Cup. And it is not the reason you think. The roof of AT&T Stadium was closed. The air conditioning was running. The temperature inside that building was completely controlled. And FIFA stopped the match for a mandatory hydration break anyway. That moment is where this story starts. But it is not where it ends. Because what happened in Dallas is not an isolated incident. It is the latest in a list that has been growing since before this tournament kicked off. And by the time you reach the end of this video, you will have counted exactly how many times FIFA's promise of the greatest World Cup in history has already been contradicted by FIFA's own decisions. When FIFA secured the right to bring the World Cup back to North America, the language used was not modest. 48 teams instead of 32, 104 matches instead of 64, 6 billion viewers projected, $11 billion in revenue. The greatest World Cup ever staged, a phrase Gianni Infantino used so repeatedly across the 4 years of promotion that it became the tournament's unofficial slogan. The biggest, the best, the most spectacular, the most accessible. This was not just a football tournament. It was going to be a landmark moment in the sport's history. Then the tournament started. And FIFA immediately became the story. The hydration break policy is where it becomes impossible to ignore, but we will come back to the full picture of what FIFA told broadcasters when they were designing it, because that detail changes everything. First, let us understand what the policy actually is. FIFA introduced mandatory 3-minute hydration breaks midway through each half of every single game at this World Cup. Not when temperatures are high. Not when the referee judges conditions warrant it. Every game, every half, every stadium, including the ones with closed roofs and full air conditioning. FIFA's chief tournament officer Manolo Zubiri confirmed it explicitly in December. He said, "For every game, no matter where the games are played, no matter if there is a roof or in terms of temperature, there will be a 3-minute hydration break." There is a defensible scientific rationale behind the general principle. Researchers warned FIFA well before the tournament that heat levels at several American host cities would be severe. Players collapsing from heat exhaustion is a genuine risk nobody serious dismisses. The concern is real. What fans in Dallas were not booing was player safety. What they were booing was a mandatory stoppage inside an fully air-conditioned NFL stadium, applied with zero flexibility, on a night when the controlled temperature inside that building made the stated justification almost impossible to defend with a straight face. Virgil van Dijk laughed when asked about it after the Netherlands game at the same stadium. Not an angry laugh, a laugh of disbelief. One of the most decorated defenders in the world, playing in an air-conditioned arena, watching a referee stop a World Cup match for a water break. And here's the part FIFA does not want to be the headline. The decision to introduce these breaks was made, in FIFA's own words, after consultation with coaches and broadcasters. Broadcasters. The same broadcasters who are filling those 3-minute windows with advertising in every market in the United States. The same broadcasters for whom a guaranteed mid-game stoppage in every single match, twice per game across 104 games, represents an entirely new commercial real estate opportunity that has never existed in the 96-year history of this tournament. The breaks have structurally divided every World Cup match into 4 quarters rather than 2 halves, a format that looks and feels considerably more like an NFL broadcast than a football match. FIFA consulted broadcasters before implementing it. The broadcasters are making money from it. Those are facts FIFA has not disputed. What they dispute is the conclusion those facts invite. The The hydration breaks are one item on the list. They are not the only one. And the others are harder to explain away as science. Just days before this tournament opened, FIFA ordered Egypt to remove 7 stars from their jerseys. Each star represented an Africa Cup of Nations title, 7 championships across 6 decades, more continental titles than any other African nation has ever won. FIFA's reasoning was technically consistent with their own regulations. Stars above a national crest are reserved for World Cup victories specifically, and Egypt has never won a World Cup. The rule exists. It was applied. Puma scrambled to revise official kits already in production days before kickoff. Around the same time, Haiti was told that their jersey violated FIFA's rules on political imagery. The original design depicted the Battle of Vertières, the decisive moment of the Haitian Revolution, the event that made Haiti the first nation ever founded through a successful uprising against slavery. The manufacturer described it as a tribute. FIFA disagreed. The jersey was withdrawn before it ever appeared in a competitive match. 2 different rulings, 2 different rationales. Both technically defensible under FIFA's written regulations. Both landed in the same compressed window before kickoff. They became stories about a governing body telling football nations what they are and are not permitted to say about themselves on the one stage where the entire world is watching. And both arriving at the same moment as the story we have already told you, of an entire national squad being ordered out of the host country overnight, with no public explanation from any authority. Their captain called the situation a disaster, and their decision-making was being done by someone else entirely. None of these stories, the boos in Dallas, the stars removed from Egypt's crest, the revolutionary imagery stripped from Haiti's jersey, the Iranian squad put on a plane home the same night they played, are individually catastrophic. The football itself has been brilliant. England beat Croatia 4-2 in a genuine classic. Messi equaled the all-time World Cup scoring record. The tournament is producing football worth watching, but the greatest World Cup ever was always going to be judged on more than goals scored. It was a promise about the experience, for fans inside those stadiums, for nations representing themselves on the biggest stage in sport, for the millions watching at home who were told this would be different from everything that came before. What FIFA have delivered in the opening week instead is a tournament where the governing body keeps interrupting its own showpiece to remind everyone who is actually in charge. A 3-minute break to sell advertising in an air-conditioned building. A rule enforced days before kickoff that stripped 6 decades of continental achievement from a nation's shirt. A squad expelled from the host country overnight with nobody willing to put their name to the order. Each one is defensible in isolation. Together, they add up to something FIFA's promotional materials never mentioned, a World Cup where the organization running it has become more visible than the football it is supposed to be serving. The greatest World Cup ever promised to put football first. 1 week in, the evidence suggests something else got there before it.